Hi, and welcome to the Business of Being a Virtual Assistant. I'm your host, Tiffany Parson, and you're watching and listening to episode number 264. So, thank you for returning to the podcast. Thank you if this is your very first time listening to the podcast. We talk about the real side of having a virtual assistant business. This week, did the thought cross your mind where you're like, you know what? If I quit my business, what will happen? If I let go of this client, what will happen? I'm here to let you know you're not the only one that this thought crosses your mind. You're not alone. You're not crazy. It's not just you. However, I want to let you know what I tell myself when these thoughts creep in. This is one thing that sets me straight, that realigns me. It's not life or death. We are not Nobody's life is in our hands. We're not doing heart transplants, kidney transplants. We're not discovering cures to diseases. Yes, our business is important. Yes, our role is important. Yes, our clients are important. However, we don't sacrifice our mental health or our physical health over someone's content creation for social media, over someone's email account or calendar. I'm not going to say you, I'm going to say me. Perfection wants to creep in, and I want things to be just so, just right. Do you know that a good bit of the time you don't have all the information to make it perfect, to make it just right, to make it just so? You have just enough information to make it your best. Not perfect, your best. You have just enough information to make it your best. We can put out a fantastic email funnel for a client, get it all set up, emails working wonderfully, everything's working in tests. It's perfect. It's live. But no one's opted in. Why? Well, maybe the client do their part. We set it up for them, but the client hasn't let anybody know it exists. I can remember doing a website, and there were some blanks that needed to be filled in. I had just enough information to do my personal best, but the client was going to come back and fill in information. And my side was done. And I would go back and peep to see, has she done anything with it? Has she added her blog post? What has she done with it? Nothing. Nothing. Still there, still for months, nothing. If I was caught up in wanting it to be perfect, those things that I didn't know, the pending items that she was going to go back and fill in later, I would have beat myself up like, oh, I could have made that better. I could have did this. No, you couldn't. You only had the information that was in front of you. Now, going forward, how can we make this not happen to where we have more information in our arsenal so we can give 110% maybe? Questions. The key to that is asking questions. And you won't know every single time what questions to ask. You learn along the way. I'm always revisiting conversations, projects in my mind to identify how can this be done better for the next one. How can we set better expectations for the next one? Most of that lies in the questions that we ask. And don't be afraid to ask questions. We've had situations where clients didn't understand that questions is a part of how we learn what you want. Questions is a part of how we're able to do a better job for you. Questions is how we think through the assignment. When I'm working with my team and they're doing something new, I expect questions. If there aren't any questions, I'm thinking, what's wrong? They haven't looked at it yet because surely there's going to be a question. And it doesn't matter how simple the question is, there should be at least one question if you're approaching something for the very first time. Your clients, you've never worked with them before. Or maybe you've never worked on this type of project before. There should be questions. And if they don't like your questions, that is a problem on their end, not your end. That's how you discover what's needed. That's how, you're able to do your job. Now, the flip side of that is I can also see how someone not being open to answer your questions will make you want to quit them, be like, you know what? This is probably not a good fit. If you can't even answer questions, it's not a good fit. And it's okay if it's not a good fit. So, what's the point? It's not life or death. Take a walk, shake it off, let it roll. Let it roll off you. Don't take it personal. And don't quit, because there are other people that need you so bad. Going back to what I talked about in episode 263, go play. Go have some fun. Come back later. Go have some fun. Now you may be thinking, well, Tiffany, I'm not really sure what questions to ask. So let me give you some general questions to ask every single time, no matter what. First question. When this project is over, when this is done, what do you expect it to look like? What is your expectation? Now, that's not the exact question, but you want to rephrase it to where you're getting to what do they expect when this is over? When we hand this off to you, what do you expect to receive? And they'll say, well, I expect to receive 5 blog posts and whatever. I expect, everything to be up and running properly. Whatever the answer is, you want to know what is their expectation. I expect it to be done in 48 hours. I expect to have an answer in 24 hours, whatever. You want to find out what their expectation is. Some people will automatically let you know. You can hear the expectation as they're explaining it to you, and you don't have to ask that question. But you're listening for the expectation. If you don't get it, you want to find out. What's the end game? What's the result? If what you're doing is just a piece of it and you don't understand the overall picture and that will help you, ask that. What's the end result? I know I am writing these autoresponder emails. What happens after that? What happens before that? Those may be things that may help you write it better, or make the process better. I don't know. You know that part. I'm just making up stuff off the top of my head, scenarios. When you always need passwords. Always. That's a given. You always need passwords. But here's something that you may not know to do. But as soon as you get those passwords, check the passwords. Check all of them. Every single one. There was a time when I wouldn't check passwords right away. And then when I'm ready to work on the project, I go check the passwords and they're not working. And then I feel like, I wish I had to check this right away instead of, a couple of days later. So always check the passwords. If you don't have a clear understanding of what they're doing, keep asking, keep digging until you can understand exactly what they're doing. And if you still don't understand, I would question whether you even want to work on that project. If the client can't clearly explain what they're doing they can't clearly explain that for you, and you've asked, okay, well, what does that mean? How does that work? So, who are your clients? What do they get as a result? What happens after they go through your program? What's the expectation for people that go through your program? If they can't answer those questions to help you get a clear understanding, they have a communication problem. Anybody that you ask about their business should be able to answer those types of questions. Who do you serve? How do you help them? How they found out about you? How do they pay you? What types of support questions do they ask? That helps you, as the person servicing them, do a better job. And every type of business has some key questions like that. And if the potential client can't answer those questions, you're going to have problems. And you may already be thinking, Tiffany, I'm in it now. This is why I just want to quit this job. Don't quit. Go back. Ask more questions. And if they're not happy with you asking questions, then you have the power to assess, is this something we want to continue tackling, or do we want to kindly let them go? Thanks so much for watching and listening to today's episode. You have a wonderful and fantastic day.